On October 26, 1993, William Shatner made the television rounds. As he says in his introduction during the last piece you'll see presented here, his interview with Tom Snyder, he'd been on TV all day and he was exhausted. He started the day, at least what my recording devices captured, live with Regis and Kathie Lee. And they started off talking about the Twilight Zone episode with the creature on the wing, and it's one of the few times I actually can say Kathie Lee was genuine. I mean, she actually knew what she was talking about. Refreshing. Then we got Shatner on the Jon Stewart Show on MTV, and that's a real good interview too. And it features Gilbert Gottfried, so you know it's going to be a little raucous. And then it ends up with the cerebral that is Thomas Snyder. Great television. So you get about an hour of Shatner talking about Star Trek and his book Star Trek Memories from October 26, 1993.
You know, you just wonder what this guest appearance on Twilight Zone meant to William Shatner, supposing he wasn't the actor picked for that episode. I mean, I take it that kind of led to all of this Star Trek stuff and kind of helped him mold a career.
Well, when you think about the Twilight Zone, isn't that the one episode you remember the most?
Absolutely, yeah.
It was absolutely terrifying.
He was the passenger, you know, in the plane, terrified.
Who sees this thing on the wing.
There was something on the wing looking at him, you know, and to this day, whenever I get on the plane,
I know.
See if that's back yet. Anyway, that was a journey that changed his life and the lives of millions of people the world over. In his new book, Star Trek Memories, he relives what it was like to be a part of that very special series. Here's William Shatner.
There we go. We could play. There we go. Looks very nice.
How are you?
Every time I see your face, it changes.
I do my makeup a little differently every day.
Is that a compliment?
You look like his wife last time I was here.
Oh, really? Now what do I do? Don't ask.
She wishes with all her heart.
She's so well known. I mean, the commercials.
Just have a seat.
She is Miss Commercial.
Do you feel resentment about that?
Absolutely.
He's Mr. Commercial.
It bothers me. It destroys me.
You're doing cat food or something like that?
No, I'm not doing cat food. But you look like you should be doing cat food. What kind of an outfit is that? What is that, writing in Canada, 1920? What is this?
It's very chic with the leather around the cooler.
I think it's very smart.
Little lapels like that went out in about 1912.
They're back in.
Are they really?
Well, they're back in.
If they were back in, they'd look like this.
We're about to go where no men have ever gone.
Anyway, it's great to see you again.
It's good to see you.
You're going to be the Grand Marshal of the Tournament of Roses, but that's a biggie.
It's a big.
That's about the
on
biggest.
New Year's Day.
And get to ride your own horse?
I get to ride my own horsey, and sit on the 50-yard line and see the game at the Rose Bowl. 100,000 people cheering and yelling,
right.
and have the experience, and a 500 million people will see the parade as it wins its way around the
Well,
world.
it's the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, with all those
So I'm putting
flowers.
on a big party. Friends of mine are coming. They're going to be in the parade. They're going to go to the 50-yard line. It's like I'm celebrating the whole thing.
Excuse me, we didn't get our invitation yet?
It's in the mail.
And you know how the mail is these days.
Which horsey are you going to ride? I know you've got a lot of horses.
Yeah, I got a lot of horses. This is going to be a world champion horse who, when he was born, is a Western world champion in the saddlebred breed. When he was born, we named him I Prefer Roses, because he was going to be a saddlebred. But he didn't quite have the action, so we made him a Western horse. And I Prefer Roses for a Western horse didn't seem appropriate, so I renamed him I Prefer Montana. But his real name is I Prefer Roses.
So
is that
perfect.
significant?
It was meant to be.
I'm so confused. Montana, I prefer not to hear that again.
You know what? There's tension here.
A lot of tension. There's
Why?
always tension between us.
We used to play tennis together, and beat each other up.
Oh, who won the tennis?
I did.
Please. Please, now be
talking
honest,
about?
Bill. Now be honest.
Okay, I will be honest. I won.
He's not being honest. Let me tell you what I'm doing this Sunday.
I don't want to hear.
I am...
He would prefer not to hear.
I prefer to tell you.
This is the Regis Show. That's right. Okay.
I am
well,
going-
almost.
This is how good I am. Shoot, you got a minute?
I'm not going
Unbelievable
anywhere.
tension here.
I am playing tennis against Chrissy Everett and
Everett.
George Everett and George Bush.
George Bush?
You don't have a prayer.
Yeah, George Bush. That's right. You heard it.
Don't have a prayer.
Yes, I do. I don't
Against
care.
George?
One is a woman, one is a former president. On the tennis court, as you well know, no prisoners. I don't care. I gotta win.
Who is your partner?
Are you going to get over your cold by then?
What cold?
You're talking through your nose. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Before you, it's anti...
Where's that picture?
It's rip-proof.
Everybody who disses me gets to look at that. And I'm keeping this right
You
here.
better keep it close, because you get dissed a lot.
Now let's talk about this book.
Okay, I thought it was about time.
You found out not everybody on the crew was a big William Shatner.
I couldn't understand that.
Yes.
Surprise!
Surprise!
We don't like you.
Well, I was sad to hear this. I really was.
About?
James Scotty wouldn't talk to you.
Oh, I always liked Scotty. I always thought Scotty had more sense than anybody else.
He speaks very highly of you, too.
Of course. So what happened when you called Scotty?
Well, he wouldn't talk to me.
And you haven't spoken to him since?
No, I can't get him on the phone.
Why?
I don't know. If I knew why, I'd be able to answer it.
This is exactly why. See this temper tantrum right here.
Well, I haven't stamped my foot yet.
You offended Scotty.
I offended Scotty,
But
but
you
I don't
want to
know
know
how.
something? That gives me pause, because if ever you write a book and you go to some people that you worked with and you found out they really hated your guts.
Well, you know, let me put it on a personal basis. I watch your show quite frequently. I think you're two most charming people.
Yeah,
in-
sure. Don't kiss up now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Go on.
You used to be. Sure. And you keep referring to Gilman, is it?
Gelman.
Gelman. It's not Gilman, it's Gelman.
think
And the
it's
poor
Gilman.
man, you get a shot of him on the
Yeah.
sidelines going, you know, being very nervous. And how do you know Gelman doesn't like you?
Gelman has to.
Gelman's paid to like you.
That's exactly what I mean.
Do you like me, Gelman?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
See what I mean? He loves me.
Every time anything goes wrong, he says, Gelman.
He's the
But
producer.
he has done this for 30 years to every producer he has ever had. He has a long, well, trail
And
of
today
victims.
they run studios in Hollywood. They're all over
He
the place.
trained them all,
I
yeah,
trained
yeah,
every
yeah,
one of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Not to mention the co-hosts and what I've
Yeah,
done.
oh, right.
What I have done for them.
Please.
Changed their lives. Made them famous.
Why are you
Made them
yelling
well.
at me? I love you.
You did it again. You did it again. He keeps annoying me. We'll be right back with William Shatner in a moment. He keeps annoying me.
Tomorrow on Live, actor Armand Asante.
Okay,
I
all
have
right.
one question. I thought the cast was fantastic. I loved everything about Star Trek, but I always thought you wore the weirdest pants. Were you expecting a flood or what? I mean, they were always up to here in little bell-bottom things.
The pants generally followed the shape of my body.
Wherever your body went, the pants went too. All right, well, that explains it, I guess.
But you know, I heard that you were not the first choice to be Captain Kirk.
You lie.
Lloyd Bridges? Excuse me, Lloyd Bridges said no.
How did you know that?
I know, I read
It's
the
in our
book.
cards.
Jeffrey Hunter, even Jack Lord. Hook 'em, Danos.
Even Jack Lord. Even Jack Lord? What is that? Even Jack Lord?
That's Jack
I don't
Benny.
understand that.
Let me show you. You know, he has always broken me up. Of all the guests I've had, this guy really... Here we are, 15 years ago. Now look at Shatner, hunched over like a little Like a little leprechaun. Stand up straight. Sit up straight when you talk to me.
I know, but you did shows with stools then.
What do you
Now
think
you
is
can
going
afford.
now?
And we're still on a stool.
15 years later,
We're still on the same stool. I'm hunched over because the
Reach,
stool. If you
that's-
had a seat here, that would bore you, but no.
But that's the
I
name of
bore
your
you,
book.
What?
My 30 years on a stool.
I'll tell you,
She's got to get off the pot or run.
All right,
I
let's
love
talk
that.
about it.
Crack
Let's
myself
talk
up
about
on
it. Is
that.
Star Trek 7, you can't be far behind, right? I mean, you've got to...
Far behind. That's a good title
Well,
for a
it
movie.
can't be far behind because you've got 6 weeks open next month. And let's do it.
They're going to make a Star Trek 7 next year, no question about it. It's just a matter of what form it takes.
But not with the old cast.
It's possible. I've read a script with some members of the old cast, but
Not Scotty?
But
No
well, I
wonder.
hope so. I mean, he deserves everything he gets. No. I mean, he's a wonderful guy. To some people, the script is there, but I think it's being rewritten. So.
As usual, huh?
Well, somebody came on the show, one of the Star Trek television characters, and said, yes, the television folks are going to get the next shot at it. And I forget what he said, what happens to
People
them.
lie a lot in this business.
Who knows?
You know, it's hard to tell.
But it was a great team. There's Leonard, of course, and George, and Walter,
And Uhura. Loved her. The only woman.
and DeForest, and Nichelle, and Scotty.
Well, you know, the Star Trek turned out to be a billion-dollar industry.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it sure did.
I mean, it's an enormous money maker for Paramount Studios.
Do you go to the conventions, the Trekkie
Not
conventions?
really. Occasionally, I'll go. Now that this book is out there, I'll go to a great many more.
I remember that Saturday Night Live sketch. You ever see that one where William Shatner goes to a Star Trek convention? And there are... and there are the weirdest people.
Well, that's
Guys
true.
with pointy ears.
Well, let me, in their defense, say that there are people who love the show,
Yeah.
who feel a sense of identification and get a great deal of joy out of
Absolutely.
pretending, and most of us pretend.
And they're completely normal people the rest of the time, right?
Mostly.
Not the bunch I saw.
There are exceptions, but it's but the book is a series of reminiscences and memories of a variety of people. The people connected with Star Trek have gotten older. Some of us, yes, and they're ill and dying. Some of them, some of us
What's
are
so
not.
funny about that?
And I thought it was time to
No, I think it's a great idea.
to grab them and talk to them and find out what they were thinking and what they were doing. And some of the things that came out of this experience were enormous for me.
Like?
Oh, like money. The memories and straightening out relationships. You know, in the dint of the hours you have to put in on doing a show, you don't have time for in-depth relationships. Going back years later and having known these people for the length of time that I did is in itself an experience. Knowing somebody for 25 years is extraordinary.
Exactly.
And so I sought to furrow and cultivate the relationship.
I think it's a great idea. It really is. And you know, you really are a terrific writer. Have you written a screenplay yet, though? I mean, everything's in book
There's
form.
Tech War, these tech books that are coming out. Another one, Tech Secret, will be out this next month. Have resulted in a series of movies. First one will be on January 19th. That I wrote, helped write, produced, directed, and I'm even acting in. I've been working on that mostly now.
That's
Well, good for
great.
you. Well, all right. I'm sure a lot of the Star Trek fans, well, they're just going to have this because all the memories are here, all the years of working together on that great series. Bill, terrific. Really, you're the best. You know.
So good to see you.
We'll be right back with Claudia Cohen in a minute.
I'm waking up. Now, we just had illusionist David Blaine was just out here, and he's gone. We got Gilbert Gottfried coming up, but right now it's time to bring out my own personal hero. He's boldly gone where no man has ever gone before, and he did it all in a very snappy yellow velour sweater. He's recently written a new book called Star Trek Memories. Please welcome the fabulous William Shatner. William Shatner.
I want so desperately to belong. If I say man and take my tie off,
then
can I
you're
belong
totally
to the group?
in. Just whoomp, there it is.
Whoomp.
That's
Hey,
all you
man,
need
how
to
are
say.
you?
See
It's
that,
good to see you, man.
And I was doing
dudes.
this thing. Dudes works right. You got a standing O. You already belong.
A standing O?
Yeah, man.
That's
they went.
great. It's in standing A, isn't it? Oh,
Something
standing
like that.
audience.
Standing audience.
Ovation,
yeah.
yes.
They went nuts. Hey, this book, man.
Yeah.
Very nice book.
Thanks, man.
Now, what were some of the? Wow.
I want to belong.
You're way hip. All right. Now, this book. Way hip, yeah.
That's great. You know, you lose track of the language.
Do you really? Me too.
And you can't communicate.
I know.
Are we going to be able to communicate?
Just hold me, Bill. I don't care anymore. That's it. Oh, come on. All right, I'll go from here. Anyway. Bill, can I say something? Bill, can I tell you something?
I don't know if you can take it.
You are boldly going where no man has ever gone before. Believe me. All right. Now let me ask you this, Bill. All right. Your fans are they're kind of lunatics. I mean,
My
to a certain
fans are
extent.
lunatics?
I think to a certain extent.
Well, that's good because I'm not quite straight myself.
No, you're really not.
No, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Straight, you know what I mean.
Straight, exactly. What was the most incredible experience you had with a lunatic
This
fan?
about amounts to the most incredible experience.
Is it
I've ever
really?
had.
Bill, can I just tell you something else?
Yeah.
This is what I want for Christmas. No, this is not one. Let me ask you this. What? Sorry. What? All right. Well, oh, man, I can't talk when I'm just looking into his eyes. It's very tough. I get swept away.
This table moves.
This table does move. Here.
This sofa moves.
No, the sofa doesn't move. The sofa stays where it
And
is.
you're eminently movable too. I understand.
Well,
as long as the ratings are up there,
exactly.
they'll make
As
this
long as I'm
table
getting
stay.
that .4. Let me ask you this. Now, when you were going to all those planets, you were always getting over.
Yeah.
You know, in the episodes. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, no, I mean when I say
What is
getting over.
Getting over. What does that mean?
Getting over, knocking the boots.
Knocking the boots.
Knocking the interplanetary boots. So
Taking them off, you mean?
yeah, something
Putting
like
them
that.
underneath the sofa?
Yeah, getting over.
I get you.
You're the man.
Yeah, I get
all right. So we actually did the other guys on the ship get a little bummed out? at you
Nothing.
for us? Nothing at all.
They got nothing.
They got nothing. There was no other girls there. You were the man. It was amazing. You know what's interesting? We have.
I can follow that language.
You can definitely follow
I'm cool
that.
now.
You can follow
I'm
knocking
cool,
the
man.
boots. We actually have a bunch of pictures just sort of detailing your romances on various planets. There's the first one. Look at that. She's awesome. And then, let's go to the next one. Oh, you're giving her the face. What's the next one? Oh, you're getting a little, you're having some thing there. The twins. I remember the twins. I remember that
remember the
episode. That was
twins, too.
tremendous. You got over on her. Every planet. I don't remember that episode. That was, Howard, I don't remember that.
Howard, you look a little weird. You know that?
Hey, come on, that's Howard. You've been to many
from
planets.
Stern the other.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Howard Stern went off on
Howard
that.
Stern.
But you've been with Klingons, for God's sakes.
I know. Well, Howard is.
We must seem tremendous.
Pretty close.
Is there going to be a Star Trek 7? I love those
Yeah,
movies.
there's going to be a Star Trek 7.
Seriously?
Yeah.
When is it coming out?
Well, there'll be a Star Trek 7. We should film in the spring and release next Christmas. But I don't know who's going to be in it or what it's going to be about.
But you'll be in it. You'll be.
I don't know about that.
I hope you're involved.
Well, I hope so too.
Yeah, that would be tremendous. We actually have a big surprise for you.
Really?
We kind of hooked it up.
So far, it's been straight ahead. You know?
I know, it's been straight ahead. I'm such a pro. I end up in everybody's lap. I don't know if you remember Marta from the asylum on Elba 2. But she was the green one. She lied when she said that she was on the pill. Yeah. Anyway, you guys hooked up. We tracked down the product of your somewhat productive tryst, and I'm very excited to say this. He's here tonight. Say hello to your long-lost Elbin son, Glixer, everybody. Glixer is here tonight. This is... Johnny! Well, they enjoy a very beautiful moment. Father-son moment. We have to take a break. Stick around. Gilbert Gottfried and more from William Shatner. Oh, all right, I'll take it.
I want sex you. I want sex you.
girl, rescue me. Open your heart and I'll set you free. All night long.
Welcome back. We are here with the man. What is wrong with me? It is a pleasure to introduce our next guest. He's the host of USA's Up All Night, and he recently provided the voice of the parrot in Aladdin, and he's also a tremendously funny comedian. Please welcome Gilbert Gottfried, everybody.
But could you please stop? Please, God, how I envy you people. God, how I wish I was sitting there watching me. Oh, is this amazing? I feel Duran. Oh, is this incredible? Well, you're a beautiful, beautiful audience. You know, yesterday I was at a party and Jackie Onassis was there. And I figured I'd break the ice and play a little party game. So I walked over to her and I said, "You remember where you were?" And she just walked away. Boy, you talk about conceited. Yesterday, I was having lunch with Charles Manson. In the middle of lunch, she turned to me and said, "Is it hot in here or am I crazy?" Charles Manson killed a house full of people because of a Beatles song that no one knows the words to. You figure if you're gonna kill that many people, pick a hit song. Instead, he picks Helter Skelter, so he kills all those people. He gets arrested. The judge goes, "Why did you kill all those people?" He goes, "Because of the lyrics to Helter Skelter." The entire courtroom looks at him and goes, "What album is that on?" And Manson's starting to sweat, and he's like, "I don't know, Abbey Road." They go, "No, I have that album." Like, the judge is like, "Why couldn't you pick a hit song? You're going through that much trouble, pick something by ABBA at least. Pick something that people know." You know, they wrote a book about Charles Manson called Helter Skelter. They had to call it Helter Skelter because legally they couldn't call it Charles in Charge. Which is a shame because Charles Manson was good friends with Willie Ames. Quite often when he was planning the murders, Willie Ames would run in and go, Charles, hurry! Date with 2 Swedish stewardesses! Hurry, Charles, hurry! Mr. Powell is coming home, Charles! Hickory-dickory-dock, a mouse runs down the clock! Ow! What are you, pal, a homo? Go! I was in bed with this broad. She turns to me. She goes, Jack and Jill go up the hill to fetch a big fat go! Jack and a homo and Jill go up the hill. The homo turns to Jill. He goes, good night.
back and joined by the actor and humanitarian, William William Shatner, who in the interest of bringing us all together has produced this wonderful book which is called Star Trek Memories, William Shatner, now in the newsstands. I hold it here in my hand. Incidentally, when was the picture of you on the cover of this book taken? This does not look like a recent photograph to me.
It does not, huh?
No.
It's a photograph that was taken about a year or two ago. Nothing to worry about, Tom. I was doing my Metro-Cal.
What is the measuring stick you're using in terms of how long a year is?
It's a dipstick.
Are you getting a little giddy after Bill Shatner Day in America?
It's incredible. I started off at 7:45. Well,
we've been with you all the way.
7 o'clock this morning, which is 4 o'clock because I've just come in from Los Angeles. 4 o'clock in the morning, and I've been working.
I know you have.
And it's been downhill all the way.
Do you think that if you didn't do all this, that this book wouldn't sell? I mean, as I said to you in the break, Bill, this is a win-win. We love you, we love Star Trek. Who would not want to buy this book?
I can't take the chance. What if I didn't do it and it didn't sell?
Oh, come on. You have that little confidence after all these years? Come on.
Well,
please. People love Star Trek.
This is the first time I've ever had a bestseller before it. I mean, it's really gone over big.
See, well, there you go. You mentioned it's number 8 on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
And you're out talking to me and Regis and Kathie Lee all
Well, I enjoy talking to you, Tom.
I know you do. I know
I've got some home remedies for your pneumonia.
Oh, I have something in the medicine chest here as soon as we finish.
Medicine chest?
Yeah, fear not. Why did it take from 1964, when the pilot of Star Trek was made, till 1966 to get this thing on the air? What was the difficulty that you, Roddenberry and company had getting NBC to say, okay, we're going to go with this?
Well, first of all, I wasn't around.
Well, that's right. You weren't their first choice, were you?
Well, the first pilot was made with Jeffrey Hunter. And they didn't sell the first pilot. So between the time the pilot was made and the time it was up for sale and the time that it didn't sell was about 2 years. And then they hired me ultimately, and I always thought I was first choice. I mean, my legend was always that Roddenberry sought me out in New York City and asked me to do it, which is what my impression was, and took me to California to see the old pilot with Jeffrey Hunter in it, and asked me to be in this show. And I said yes, but if you'd make, lighten up a little here, everybody's taking themselves so seriously. So in effect, that's what they did, and then we made the second pilot. And that took a year to make and sell. So I guess that was the 3-year period you're talking about.
Yeah. Wasn't Jack Lord under consideration one time, but he wanted the farm?
Yeah, that was what I was told on researching the book, that Jack Lord, Lloyd Bridges, who else, and of course Jeffrey Hunter, who was not fired but demanded a lot and finally was not asked to come back.
Yeah, but what's the story you tell, that Jack Lord wanted 50% of the show?
That's what I was told.
Yeah. It turned out to be the biggest break for you in the history of the world, you know.
I wonder what would have happened if Jack had played it.
Yeah.
First of all, it would have been made in Hawaii.
Yeah, right. There would have been palm trees on the Starship Enterprise, right?
To go boldly where Jack Lord has trod before, I guess.
Where Jack Lord has never gone before, right. You write in this book that you learned after all was said and done that the 79 episodes of the original show were over. That you found out, and I found this hard to believe, that there were members of the cast who didn't say this to you at the time of the filming, but they weren't your biggest fans. That you were not, you wouldn't have won a popularity contest on the set. Is that fair?
That with certain people, that came as a shock to me. I was under the impression we were all one big happy family, with an occasional outburst from people who where I wasn't present.
Right.
And I had no idea what they were talking about, and I pushed it aside as though it was a family member who was upset about something.
Well, listen, there are always creative tensions on the sets of shows where, egos are ticking, and now and again there is a point of departure between people, but you patch it over and go forward. That's happened to all of us.
Thank you, Tom. I wish I had said it in exactly that way.
Yeah.
But you've said it for me.
Well, I had to, since you didn't.
I was stumbling. Right? It's a sore subject. Yeah. So I found myself researching the book and talking to a cast member, and And I had a good interview, and I was putting my equipment away, and she said, "Don't you want to hear how much we despise you?" And I said, "No."
You got to be kidding me.
No.
By the way, William, we hated you.
So I was aghast, and then they proceeded to tell me that at times I would say, "No, cut that line, and it's not good," and it was their one, or they had very few lines to say, and every time I said, "No, let's do something else," it seemed a direct slap at them, which of course I didn't have in mind, but I was concentrated on the quality of the show, I thought.
Would it, in retrospect, be fair to say that maybe you weren't as sensitive then as you might be now to the fact that when you say that line's no good, you might be taking an actor's only line of the part away?
I think it's eminently fair to say that, and I would approach it being more politic now. I'm older, but one of the things that I found in doing the research on the book was that I knew people very little. Only in a very superficial way had I made contact with people during 3 years of doing Star Trek, and even in the movies. With Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley, with whom I was in their presence much more often. I was much more friendly with them, and with Leonard Nimoy, I consider him one of my dearest friends. But with the others, it was acquaintanceship, really, and with many of the people behind the scenes. And in my research, going back and talking to them and listening to what they said and reaching out for them as a human being and realizing that the clock is ticking, people have died, and there's not that many years left for everybody, I wanted...
Wait a second, Bill, don't say that.
Well, Tom, the gray hair is a sign. There's snow on the thatch. What do they say? There's snow on the roof?
Just because there's snow on the roof doesn't mean there isn't fire in the hearth.
Well, the fire you're feeling is pneumonia.
If you want to start comments on hair... Want to start hair comments?
No comment.
All right.
You're tough.
Let me ask you...
So I just to finish that,
okay.
I wanted to say that I reached out and I was able to touch someone and make friends with some of these people that I didn't really know those many years ago.
So you are no longer despised?
Well, I don't know. I may come up with another surprise on another book.
One thing that surprised me, and you wrote very candidly, and I've only got a minute here, so we'll probably have to save your response to this until after the commercial. But that was your relationship with Gene Roddenberry, which, if my memory is correct, you described towards the end of your book as not being one of great warmth and camaraderie during the filming of the shows. And that even through the years up until the time of his death, and if I'm misquoting you here, please, because I'm taking medication for this damn cold.
Well, you always were dizzy. I mean,
I
to blame the medication at this point in your life.
Now, if you want to start attitude comments, I'll be happy to do those with you too.
You're tough.
But that you really never made the peace with Roddenberry up until the time of his passing. Correct.
Correct.
All right. Let me talk to you about that, and then we'll get to folks who are on the toll-free exchange. By the way, gang, we have the Star Trek quiz here. Questions about all kinds of stuff in Star Trek. So if you call in here, expect to be challenged about your Trekkie knowledge. We'll continue with William Shatner, who's the author of Star Trek Memories, and you on the toll-free exchange. We'll be right back from Fort Lee and Burbank after these messages. Here they come. We're back with William Shatner, who is the author of Star Trek Memories. Bill joins us tonight from the studios in Fort Lee, New Jersey, where he has been back making appearances there with Regis and Kathie Lee and Conan O'Brien and others on behalf of this book and Star Trek. Talk to us here about Gene Roddenberry, of whom, by the way, you write very complimentary in the opening chapters when the show was getting off the ground. But your personal relationship.
Well, it was just one of those things, a working relationship which never really matured, and there was enough time to do that. And I don't know why. I just always had the impression he didn't care for me and didn't care too much for some of the members of the cast.
But at one point you sought out Majel Roddenberry, his widow. Did you not? And
I did an extensive interview with her, yes.
And she talked about, and I wish you'd tell the folks, her theory about God the Creator and you, members of the cast.
You picked up on that.
Yeah.
That's true. So,
well, unlike some of the other people that you've been with today, I come rather well prepared to this exercise.
Your producer has read the book and synopsized it.
No, that's not quite true, sir.
The truth of the matter, you're astutely pointing out a thing that that was one of the more astonishing discoveries I made in writing the book. Gene apparently felt not only a proprietary interest in Star Trek, which obviously he should because he invented it, but he felt a paternal feeling towards all the actors and the people who were there. Even perhaps more than paternal, he felt a feeling that they belonged to him, and we owed him a great deal, and I suppose we did, but somehow it doesn't translate into
and that maybe in his mind you weren't paying sufficient homage or demonstrating sufficient gratitude for the creation that he had given to you.
I believe that to be true, although Majel, his wife, would probably argue it. In any case, she said to me that Gene felt that he was the creator and the God figure of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then I realized that was probably what made me withdraw. That attitude was probably what instinctively made me withdraw.
Why did you feel it necessary, since Gene Roddenberry has passed on, to allude to his illicit love affair?
Well, I didn't think it was necessary, but...
Well, you put it in.
Yes, well, I thought it was part of the show. It was part of the entirety of the story of what made Star Trek go, because everybody that became involved with Gene became involved with Star Trek. I shouldn't say everybody, but people I knew that were involved with Gene were also involved with Star Trek and had an influence on Star Trek. My ambition with this book was to tell the truth as I saw it in the making of Star Trek, and there were people that have never been mentioned, or mentioned so rarely that they have been forgotten. Not only that,
like
Gene Kuhn, a producer in the first half of the first season to the second half of the second season, set the tone for Star Trek, was the writer of record of many of the best episodes.
Fair. But then, if we're going to allude to the trysting of Gene Roddenberry, should we also not then list the peccadillos of all involved who may have had extra?
There's a wonderful love story that I tell about Gene Kuhn, who left his wife to meet with and be with the woman he ultimately married, who told me the story. I don't think it's wrong to tell the fleshed out details of somebody's life, not in a malevolent way.
No, it's not vitriolic, but I know Majel Roddenberry. And until today, I have never thought about asking her to come on this show, but I think I may do that at some point, because she and I have been friends for a long time, and as has her husband been a friend to me. And I just wonder, sitting in her home tonight, I don't know if she watches this, but I'm sure she's picked up your book. I mean, what must she think now when you write this story that her husband had an extramarital affair?
Well, she's not been loath to talk. I mean, she's not been loath to talk about it. She has expressed herself many times as to what position she was in.
But not for all of us to read.
Well, for a lot of us to hear in public, and spoke to me very openly about it in an interview. I am expressing nothing that wasn't there, spoken to me openly and without any hesitation. The book is researched very, very carefully, and I was very careful to quote people exactly as they spoke to me, gave them things to sign, papers to sign, releasing the words, sent the book in its galleys to them to look over. So I was very, very careful and very, very desirous of pleasing the people who spoke to me so openly.
I understand, but I had to ask, and I appreciate your answers. Let's go to the phones. We're with William Shatner. Trying to change his man's name.
Medication. It's the medication.
Yeah, it's the medication. Here is Chris in Indiana. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Mr. Shatner, I had a question concerning the cult status that the Star Trek has provided the following that you have. A couple of years ago, you did a skit on Saturday Night Live where you kind of made fun of the movement that there is for the Star Trek shows. And I was just curious what your true feelings were considering that.
Well, my true feeling is one of great empathy, love for the people who love Star Trek, because I too love Star Trek, but I also have a sense of humor about it, and I hope everybody else does too. It is actually a piece of entertainment that was on the air for 3 years, and we all love it, and we all do our thing with it, but we all have to have a sense of humor about it as well.
Are you a big fan, Chris?
Oh, yeah, I watch the show whenever I get a chance. I really wouldn't consider myself a Trekkie, though, and then that's what I kind of can't figure out in some instances, how people really get into that so much that they would be able to tell you what storylines are and so on.
You do not consider yourself to be a Trekkie?
Correct.
So then you don't know how many original Star Trek episodes there were?
No, not an exact figure.
Well, there were 79. Write it down.
79, okay.
You might get a call from Letterman some night, and that could be the $1,000,000 question.
Okay.
But Chris, thanks for calling. Bill, if you can hold for a second,
Sure.
I have a commercial waiting. By the way, we're going to turn up the volume on these commercials, folks, so they really blare into your house. You know, we're going to blast them at you. With William Shatner, author of Star Trek Memories, Craig calling us on the toll-free from Ohio. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Pretty good, Craig. Hope you are, too.
I'm doing great.
Great. Say hi to William Shatner right here.
You've gone from Quentin Crisp to Captain Kirk. My hat's off to you. Bill, when you would deliver those beautiful, impassioned soliloquies as Captain Kirk...
Yes, Craig.
Did you ever feel...
Don't you get snotty with my caller back there. Don't you give me that yes, Craig.
Those were defining moments as far as I'm concerned. And how much does the line blur between Bill Shatner and Captain Kirk?
How much is a what?
The line between you as a person and those soliloquies.
Between the character and the actor?
Yes, sir.
Well, in any actor and character that an actor plays, the line is undefined. Sometimes it's part of your personality. Sometimes you aim to get away from your own personality. In a series where you're doing a show in 6 days and working 14, 18 hours a day, you don't have too much time to disguise your personality. You're just saying the lines because you've learned them and trying to put as much emotion and truthfulness into them. So I guess the line between Captain Kirk and myself is a very close one, and perhaps if I'd had more time, I would have disguised it more.
But in other words, the character and you at some points in time during the production were interchangeable.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go, Craig.
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot, Tom.
By the way, Craig, before you run off, are you a Trekkie, a big fan?
I'm a semi-Trekkie.
All right, let me try this one. Here's the Star Trek quiz.
Nobody admits to it.
I beg your pardon?
Nobody admits to being a Trekkie. I want to know.
I'm a Trekkie.
Wait a minute. I want to know what the definition of a Trekkie is. If a guy from some town, we're in Ohio, calls you in Burbank and asks a question about Star Trek, is that not the definition of a Trekkie?
I think so.
Hey, I'll own up to it. I'm a Trekkie.
He's owning up to it.
See, Craig, that's it. Craig, that's good.
What episode has Spock saying, "You have to kill him, Captain. There's no alternative"?
Craig, I want to tell you, I don't even know the answer to that. If you come up with the answer to this one.
Do you want the title of that episode?
That's sort of what I'm looking for, yeah. That was the episode. Excuse me, that was the question. What episode has Spock saying that?
I think it was the one where the virus had infected the various folks. No?
The virus had infected the lungs.
Not even in the same state, kid. The episode was called Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Oh, my gosh. What do you know?
Better luck next time, Craig.
All right.
All right. A box of Mars bars and 2 tickets to tomorrow night's show. Gary in North Carolina. Hello. You're on with William Shatner. Hello.
Well, how are you doing tonight, Tom?
Good, thanks.
And Mr. Shatner, I have a couple of questions for you, but they're not about Star Trek. They're about some other books that you've written.
Yes, Gary.
I greatly enjoy your tech series, both in the printed form and in the comic book form.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, is there another one getting ready to be out on the market anytime soon?
Tech Secret is coming out, Gary, this month. and a hardcover. Tech Vengeance is in softcover. And on January 19th of this
Would there be a video cassette of Tech coming out that we could talk about here?
Well, January 19th.
Funny, you should ask Tom.
On January 19th of 1994.
And, hold it, Bill. Hold it. Do we have a picture of that back and forth?
A series of movies begins based on those tech novels, and the first one is Tech War, and I directed it, and I produced it, and I helped write it, and I'm even acting in it.
And you own it, and you must be extremely wealthy because of it.
Who's going to play Jake?
Well, Greg Evigan plays Jake fairly well. He's wonderful in it, and everybody's very excited over at Universal and at Atlantis Films in Toronto, and at my company, Lemley. We're all excited.
They're all excited, Gary.
Yes.
And you're excited, Gary.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Gary's excited. Why aren't you excited, Tom?
I'm excited.
It's the medication that's calming you down. I can see that.
I'm going to show you the medication, okay? I want to tell you, a listener sent something in here. She brought it by hand to the studio this afternoon. She did not leave her name. And she said to me, to let me know that you got this, Tom, in appreciation for the many years of entertainment, just hold it up, look at the camera, and say thank you.
Okay, let's hear that. Let's see that.
Thank you.
So this is a cable show.
Oh, yeah, we can do anything we want here.
All right.
Gary, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right, good night, sir. On MTV, did you ask them about Beavis and Butthead? Do you know about this?
Well, sure I know about Beavis and Butthead.
Well, I mean, we all do, but it's
everybody knows about Beavis and Butthead.
But I think it's so stupid.
It is a stupid thing, isn't it? It's the stupidest, dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and of course it's making millions a year.
Yes, even that's stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, can you imagine guys wanting to be called Beavis and Butthead?
No, I mean, Butthead's not so bad, but Beavis.
Beavis, yeah. Jimmy in Kentucky, hello.
Hello, Mr. Shatner. I've heard that you have a horse farm here in Kentucky.
I do in Lexington, Jimmy. I have a saddlebred farm. We breed saddlebreds there, and I ride them. And I had one fall on top of me 6 weeks ago, and I'm just recovering.
Do you have any Kentucky Derby hopefuls?
Well, these are saddlebreds, not thoroughbreds. Running horses are, a lot of people love them. I prefer American saddlebreds, which are show horses.
Thanks for calling, Jimmy.
Here?
Beg your pardon?
I was going to ask if he spends very much time in Kentucky.
Oh, I do. I spend a great deal of time. I consider it my second home. I have a farm outside of Lexington.
Beautiful country. Jimmy, I'm glad you called. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, here is... by the way, you were on an episode of the Larry Sanders Show. Remember when you did that with Gary Shannon a couple, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And they were talking to you about coming on and doing something about Star Trek, and you said, you know, I'd rather do something on the Tech series or something else. Right. You know, I talk about Star Trek all the time. There's another dimension to my life. How reflective of reality was that statement? Or was it satire with a cable television?
Well, it was satire because it was a comedy, but so we were trying to get some laughs. But the truth of the matter is that you and I are talking about Star Trek because I'm promoting this book that I think is interesting called Star Trek Memories. But there is another series of books called, under the generic term, Tech War, and a comic book called Tech World.
Yeah, you mentioned all that stuff before. We got it. by the way, it's interesting, you know, when you talk about your tech wars and tech books, your voice volume goes up, you know?
Along with your advertising.
Yeah.
What is that medication you're taking? I need some right now. But in any case, yes, there's another aspect to my life, but I'm on a program, a lengthy program all day long of pushing Star Trek memories, and so I don't mind talking about it. In fact, I relish it.
We've noticed. We've noticed. Thank you for... Well, listen, stay for a few more. I got 3 more calls I want to get through here.
I would like to.
All right, I'll tell you what, like about 6 minutes, and then we'll bring William Shatner Day in America to a triumphant and historic conclusion.
only to begin again tomorrow.
Not here. We'll be right back with Mr. Shatner and your phone calls after these messages, and then on to the man who chases the tornadoes. This you will not want to miss.
Has offices in Los Angeles and the East Coast. Music Express can handle your corporate limousine needs anywhere in the U.S. and worldwide.
I can't tell you why. I will tomorrow, but not tonight. Joshua in Florida, hello.
Hi, Mr. Shatner.
Yes, Josh.
I was calling. I've heard from some things that you've done and some other people as well that during the filming of the original series of Star Trek, you had some significant experiences, personal experiences in your life. And I was wondering if during the course of writing and researching this book that you've written, you have had the opportunity to relive, in a manner of speaking, some of those experiences.
Yes, I did.
Well, but now what kind of experiences are we talking about here? No, but Joshua, when you say personal experiences, like...
Okay, well, an example would be the death of your father, I believe, took place during the original series.
That's right.
Another, at the Smithsonian, when they had the exhibit about Star Trek, I had the opportunity to go there with my family. By the way, I'm a high school student. And you were talking about a time when you were picked up in a limousine by a man who told you about an experience he had, I guess you said in Vietnam.
Yes.
And you said that was significant to you personally.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if, through the course of doing the book, you had the opportunity to...
I did a little exploration, Joshua, I did, in those areas. I told some of those stories. The death of my father on one of the episodes, yeah.
And so parts of those, Joshua, are in the book, should you choose to pick it up.
Yeah, well, actually, my dad promised me that if I did manage to get through, he would buy 5 copies of the book, so...
Well, Joshua, you must get through, Joshua.
Right. I can't tell you how pleased I am right now.
All right, thanks, Joshua. I'm glad you called, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. You know, you are naked in your promotion of this book. You know that.
I'm shameless.
In fact, the words that we use behind your back are a tireless self-promoter.
Wait a minute, what did you say? Maybe I should listen to this. What?
Wait till you get back to your hotel and see the replay. No, tirelessly self-promoting this book.
Tirelessly self-promoting this book.
Yes.
Well, I'm tired.
Of course you are.
So I'm.
But you're tireless. I mean, if you had a chance to go over to NBC right now or go on an all-night radio show, you'd be there right now.
I'm on my way.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm kidding you. It's part of the act of writing, I think, is getting the book sold. Otherwise,
but like I said, hey, Bill, it's already number 8 on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
How far out of the ballpark do you want to hit this thing?
You know what Carter did in the last game of the Joe Carter did in the last game of the.
Yes, I do. He and I don't want to go into it.
Why not?
Because I bet the other way. I was on the Phillies.
Tough.
You
lost again.
I mean, if I didn't know better, I would almost say the fix was in on this one.
Tom,
I mean, when the guy dropped Game 4,
the Blue Jays were a better team. He knocked the ball out of the park, and that's what I'd like to do with these books.
Okay. Plural, books.
Well, I was talking to you about...
And whatever else it is you've got going back there. Jeff in Buffalo, New York. Hello.
Have you opened that bottle already?
Yes, I have. Jeff in Buffalo. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you, Jeff?
Great.
Good.
So we finally meet.
Yes, we finally meet.
First of all, I hope you're a Buffalo Bills fan. I'd like to start off by that.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
He's everybody's fan.
I'm
right
everybody's
now.
fan. After one of these, I'm everybody's.
Okay. Has there ever been any discussions about sort of a script on the Next Generation with where the crew of the Next Generation sort of has sort of a time warp and comes back to meet the entire crew of the old series?
Have I been in that kind of discussion? Is that what you're saying?
Or has there ever been that type of talk for
I think that I think Tom has been sitting around with friends of his, imbibing from that bottle and discussing that very thing.
Oh, stop it!
Rather than just cameo appearances by one person or another.
I think they've discussed it at a time or another, but it never really has come to any fruition.
Jeff, I'm glad you called. Now, what's your schedule? Now, you finish up in New York, the promotion tour. Then is it down to Florida for a while? I mean. Excuse me, Kentucky, to the Saddle Ranch.
No. I got to go back to Toronto and mix this film, and I'm working on something else, another film. I'm busy. I'm taking the opportunity to talk to you, Tom, see that you're well, hoping that this pneumonia isn't galloping, and making sure that your life is settled.
Yeah, and then after Toronto, you're.
Go for it.
And after Toronto, you come to California then, or back to New York, or what?
I'm back to New York, yeah.
Okay. Good to be with you, William. Success with the book, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for asking me, Tom. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Good night, Bill.
Thanks for watching Cleveland Live Music. It's awfully bright out here. I'd click on another one of my videos. Quit looking into the sun. Your mother told you not to do that. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel more, there's GoFundMe and Patreon information in the video descriptions. Ooh! Ooh!